So we'll do an overview about Digital Democracy Project, and then we like to cover a bunch of the bills that we've posted so people can be aware of some of the bills that have already been filed and proposed for this 2026 upcoming legislative session. So to start, my name is Sadie, and I lead the Florida chapter for Digital Democracy Project, and I do a lot of the outreach and organizing. So I'll share my screen. I'll give you guys an intro about Digital Democracy Project and some of the resources on our website, and then how you can also use it to weigh in on legislation. So you should see my screen now. And I'll start out with this explainer video. So Digital Democracy Project overall, we are a nonpartisan nonprofit, and we provide this free civic engagement platform so voters get a chance to weigh in on legislation. We can show how voters want their legislators to vote, and then we compare it to how legislators end up voting, so we can show how often they're matching how the voters had voted, and so voters can hold them accountable. So we're all about building a voter-driven system of government, putting more power in the hands of voters. And just let me know if anything doesn't work with the audio.
Ever wish you could tell your legislators exactly how to vote? Well, now you can. And it's right in the palm of your hands. Introducing the Digital Democracy Project, a mobile voting app and online tracking system, connecting you to the process, giving you the power. You vote on pending bills, on issues that affect us all, every day, telling legislators how you want them to vote. There's no party politics, no big money, and no special interests. We only compare what voters want to what legislators actually deliver, and everybody can see it. Your representatives, the media, everybody, all from your phone. Plus, it's absolutely free. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You vote on the same bills as your representatives. We track it online in real time, a running tally. Then we take score. We add up every vote on every issue and we post it. You can see if they have voted with or against the majority. And come election time, now you know the score. It's powered by blockchain technology, keeping you secure. And with ID verification, it guarantees that all votes are real votes by real human voters. And don't worry, we never store, share, or monetize your data. And we never will. We're just putting the power where it belongs, right in your hands. So join us. We have the technology. You have the power. The Digital Democracy Project. This is what democracy looks like.
All right. So, and how it works to the website, what I'll show you guys first is where we post all of the information. That way everyone can see what the voters want, all the info and the results. And then individual voters weigh in through either the Votes web app or mobile voting app. So they get verified in there, add their votes in on bills, and then everything gets relayed to our website. So whether people are registered to vote or not, or old enough to vote, they can still see all the info. So I'll start out with the tally page here. This is where we show the live bills and the current results. So just to show an example, I'll pick out a bill at the federal level so you can see how it works for federal bills too. So for each of these bills, it'll pull up a summary of the bill. This one was the Rescissions Act that passed a few months ago. We carried it in July. And the summaries here, and then the different links we provide. So Open States Plural will show the status of the bill, and then the different sponsors, co-sponsors. And then you can go in here and see the actual results, the actions of it, and the vote breakdowns on here too. And then we also provide the text to the bill if you want to read the full actual text. And then the Kiala will show different pros and cons. So you can have some more info to consider when deciding if you support or oppose the bill. And then this is also set up to where individuals like yourselves can go on and add your own pros and cons, or you can comment on these. It's meant to be more interactive, like a community type of discussion board. And then you can also see on here the pie charts will show the results for the state overall and for the country overall. So like this bill had 280 voters that opposed overall, 88% that opposed the bill. And then for Florida, it was 92% opposed and 147 opposed. And this was the bill that, yeah, like defunded like PBS, public broadcasting, just for a quick overview. And then and there are about like, I think we're up to 90 or 100 or so bills from 2025. So voters can still vote on those. And then the congressional session will continue through 2026. So you can see we started adding those bills in here too. And then you can also zoom in on any of the states here, and it'll pull up the breakdown so you can see by congressional district the vote results. And it has the same resources here. And then you can also from here select state bills. And so we started posting bills for the 2026 session in October when committee weeks had started. So that's where you can go to see the different bills there. And then it'll provide that same info, a summary, and the overall results too. And then these are continuously updating as more voters are weighing in. And yeah, sorry, you have to click on the map again after you switch bills. And so, yeah, we'll jump in more into these after I give the overview, but the tally map is where you can see all these live results. And then for legislators too, they can select their particular district and see how voters in their district, how their constituents want them to be voting. And then one of my favorite parts of this is where we can really get that power and numbers effect, where voters can have real influence, where the more voters weighing in, the more pressure we can put on legislators to influence how they're voting. So whether it's supporting what they're already planning to vote, we can communicate that, or if we're opposing how legislators may be voting, that's where the voters can weigh in, have more power that way. So yeah, that's the tally page, and that's kind of beforehand. So you can see what the voters want, show how they want legislators to vote. And then after legislators vote, our scorecards are where you can see the breakdown and the comparison. So for each legislator, the middle column will show their actual voting record on the floor for each of the bills. So these will be updating. Session just started, so they'll start updating once once bills are advancing and legislators are voting. So the middle will show their actual vote record. If there's a gray bubble, the legislator either didn't take a vote on the bill or it didn't come up for a vote. And then the first column is relaying from the tally map if the majority of the voters supported the bill or opposed the bill. So like for this first one, the majority opposed the bill, and then the legislator voted no as well. So since he matched what the voters wanted, the third column just illustrates if they matched what the voters wanted or didn't match. So thumbs up is if they matched, and then that proportion of how often they're matching what the voters want is where that score comes from. So like this legislator has the highest scorecard for reference. And then these are for voters to be able to hold their legislators accountable. And something distinct about them, our organization isn't evaluating the legislators. We're providing the technology for the voters to be the ones driving the accountability and evaluating legislators. So it's all based on how the majority of voters are voting on the bills. And then our bills view page is one of our other main features. So we'll spend a lot of time on this one tonight. So this is where you can search for specific bills, topics, and there's different categories here, and then, or there's filters here, and then categories. If there's like a particular issue topic you're interested in, you can narrow down, see bills related to that category. And yeah, we're up to about 560 or so bills overall. And we are expanding to carry state legislation in other states too. So we went live in Florida in 2023. And then 2024 started carrying federal legislation for Florida voters. 2025 expanded that to where any U.S. voter can vote on federal bills. And then now for the 2026 session, we're adding in a couple states to do state legislation in those two. So like for tonight, we'll focus on Florida, and then we'll do go through the 2026 bills. So I'll go ahead and like jump more into the details on this after I go through the full overview, since that's where we'll be spending the bulk of the time tonight. And then on our website, we also have a media page. I'll quickly point out our founder did a TEDx talk if you'd like to hear more about his motivation for starting Digital Democracy Project. And then on this page, we're relaying like our newsletters on here, different media. Dan's one of our congressional candidates who's been doing a lot of communication about Digital Democracy Project. And there's different interviews we've done with candidates or podcast episodes. And you can also hear from the CEO of Votes, Nimit. He's done some interviews we posted on here too. There's one of them. And then, yeah, we do have some legislators who have endorsed Digital Democracy Project. So let me pull up our endorsements page. So for a legislator to endorse Digital Democracy Project, all it means is that they're saying they want to use our technology as a way to hear from their voters. So any candidate's able to endorse, and some of the sitting legislators like Rep. Escamani and Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith and Kelly Skidmore and Rep. Rita Harris are some that are currently serving in the legislature. And then we have some that are at the local level now too, and then some that are running for office for 2026. And yeah, we'll be working on expanding. And if you guys have your own legislators or candidates you're working with that might be interested, that's an option for them to endorse as well. So that's kind of the overview about the features, the resources on our website. So the last thing I'll cover before we jump into the bills. So the app that we use, it's a web app, mobile app, Votes. It's VOATZ. They're certified real mobile voting technology. So we use their technology for voters to get verified and submit their votes, and then that's how they get relayed to the website. So if you're not already signed up in Votes, the process, it takes about 2 minutes or so. It'll walk you, this page will help walk you through. So let me drop this link in the chat as well. And we get asked a lot about the verification process. So the reason we have voters get verified, we, for one, want to know that they're real people. They are who they say they are. So we don't have bots. We don't have people voting like 10 times. So it carries a lot more weight and is a lot more reliable than like a Twitter poll, for example. And also, so it protects from bad actors trying to misrepresent what the voters want. And also so that legislators can trust the results. And so it carries real weight for voters too. So their input can't be discredited. So that's why the verification's in there. And then we use Votes as technology. They've been used in hundreds of elections, and they started for service members overseas to be able to vote from their phones, people with disabilities. So they've been tested out, and security is their top priority. So that's why we use them to complete the voter verification process, because it'll walk you through once you get signed up in Votes. It's just like your email address, phone number. You create a PIN number and can use a Touch ID, Face ID. And then to get verified, it'll have you use a photo ID and do a selfie scan. And there is a new option now, this Votes web app. I'll drop this in the chat too. This is an option where you can get verified in Votes. And then you can also vote from your computer. You don't have to use a mobile app, download a whole app. So that's another option. You can use it from your phone or a computer. So that's in there too. If you're not already signed up, we definitely want you to get verified so you can start weighing in, adding your votes in on all these bills that we'll talk about. And yeah, we are at about 23,000 voters nationwide who have been verified, and then over 120,000 ballots that have been cast. So there's been a lot of bills we've carried since 2023 and lots of votes on those different bills. I think last session we carried about 80 or 90 bills at the state level. So I'd expect we'll cover about that same number for this session too. And if you guys yourselves have any bills that you're tracking that you're concerned about, if you want to drop those in the chat or relay those to me at any point, please do, so we can try to cover those. We do try to prioritize bills that look like they're going to be advancing, so voters get a chance to weigh in. But we do like to get a lot of input from organizations if there are bills that they think voters might care about that they want to draw awareness to. We like to try to highlight those too. So yeah, we'll jump into a bunch of those, but I do want to pause here. If anyone has any questions or anything, you can either come off mute, or if you want to drop in the chat any thoughts, questions, or anything, feel free to share. And then there is a raise hand button if you wanted to use that too. And if not, then I'll start jumping into the bills. And then if any questions come up at any time, then yeah, just feel free to let me know. So for the bills for this session, I'm going to go ahead and start with the most recent ones, since we've had about 2 or so of these already. So I'll start with the recent ones, and then we'll work our way back, and however many we get through, we'll cover, because I think right now we're at 40, okay, maybe 39 bills at the state level. So for the first one, I'll provide like a quick overview, and then if you guys have thoughts you want to share, I want to give you guys a chance to either ask questions or share any thoughts. So I do want to point out these other features that are on the bills view page too. So for example, this unauthorized aliens bill, HB 1307, this bill restricts services for people in Florida who are not legally in the U.S. Agencies may not license them or give home buying aid. Improper aid must be repaid and can trigger foreclosure. Adults without legal status can't collect certain state claims. Employers face big fines, license loss, full medical costs, and a felony if hiring over 50. And E-Verify is required before workers' comp claims. Banks and money senders must verify status. In crashes, some out-of-state drivers are presumed at fault. So lots of stuff in this bill. And yeah, lots of focused on immigration. And then one of the links on here, this is the same one that you can get from the tally page, is the Open States Plural link. So you can see like which legislator sponsored it, or if there's co-sponsors. And then some of these have advanced, so you might see like moving through committees, but I don't know that any votes have come up for a vote on the floor yet. So that's where you can see those kind of updates throughout session. And then there is a link here too, I'll point out, to vote in the Votes web app that I had mentioned. So once you get verified, you can actually quickly go in here, type in your email, phone number, it'll send you a code, and then you can pull up all the bills that you can vote on. And there is a search feature in there too. So if there's a particular one you're looking for, that's where you can go through and submit your vote on your computer also. And then another feature, so we added these impact statements where you can kind of get more info about what a yes vote would mean, what a no vote would mean, and then why organizations may support and why they may oppose, or different organizations that may support or oppose. And then we'll also do a search to relay organizations that have taken official public stance. And we try to make sure that we're only relaying ones that have kind of officially taken like a clear stance on the bills. We don't want to relay some that may be, I guess, may or may not be as clear if they support or oppose. We want it to be ones that are kind of more confident. So that's another feature. Yeah, that one didn't have any, but I'm pretty sure we'll see some throughout the other bills. And then, for example, on here too, for this bill, we had 73% of the voters oppose it, 41 voters oppose. And then, yeah, like I said, you can go through and see the district breakdown, and then you can also see by state Senate breakdowns too. And then down here is where you'll be able to see all the votes for all the legislators in the House and in the Senate if the bill advances. That's where you'll be able to see those on our website, and where we'll do that comparison for how the voters had voted to how the legislator voted, showing how often it matches. And then this bill, if it advances, it'll get a score. The higher the score shows how often, it means like more often the legislators vote matched what the voters had wanted. The lower the score, the opposite. And then there's also a Kialo, a link to the Kialo on here too. So that's where you can see those pros and cons again, and then add in your own pros and cons too. And so yeah, those are the features for all of the bills. And then there is another thing over here I want to point out. VoteBot's a AI tool. Our founder has a background in AI, so this is where you can ask questions about the bill. It'll give you more info. So I like to ask a lot about like potential impacts of the bill, like why was this bill filed? Have there been any reasons for opposition? And it'll do like a search. And yeah, sometimes there are phrases I'm not familiar with, I'll ask. So yeah, it is a really helpful tool. It gives pretty good responses. So yeah, if anyone has questions too, I can ask VoteBot for responses too. So yeah, I'll give it a second, pause there. If anyone has any thoughts, if you want to share, maybe if you support or oppose or questions or anything, feel free to let us know. And if not, there are plenty other bills.
Hey, Sadie, I'm sorry. It took me a minute. I have a question. So because I'm set up on my phone with no problem, but I've been trying to get set up on the app, my website, because the computer, I got old eyes, but I can't remember my password.
Well,
I don't want to reset it because I'm good on the phone, but is it the same password as the desktop?
So yeah, actually about that, you don't need to have your PIN number since you're already verified. You don't have to have the password. So you can just go on here and then it'll just ask for your email, phone number, and it'll send your phone or your mobile device a code, and whatever code it sends you, you'll just punch that in and then you can get in right away.
Okay. And that's the link that you had put in the chat earlier.
That's
the votes or the.
Yeah, that's the second one. The app.webvotes.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you.
No problem. And yeah, Teresa, I just saw your message. HB 991 and SB 1334. I'm not familiar with those off the top of my head. So
That's the elections. So that's my neck of the wood. It's the title voter registration around elections for no reason.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, let me pass those or take note of those so I can look more into those.
HB 991 and SB 1334 is the companion.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that sounds like one we'll definitely carry.
Yeah.
We like to, anything related to elections, we especially like to carry. So thanks for passing those along. I'll look into those. I don't know that we've carried it yet, but we'll see. Yeah, let me see if I narrow down by elections what comes up. Okay, yeah, what was it again? I don't think it was any of those. Okay, so yeah, I will look into those. And then we'll jump into the next one. So foreign and alien bail bond insurers, SB 642. The bill makes bail bond insurers, including out-of-state and foreign companies, follow stricter reporting to Florida's insurance office. They must keep accurate records of all money paid for bonds and disclose by state total premiums, taxes owed, money kept by agents, and how much they count as bail bond premiums in official reports. Reports must count for at least 6.5% of what customers pay as premium. This improves transparency, state oversight, and fair tax collection. And this one we didn't have orgs take a stance on. I was asking questions of the VoteBot myself about it, and I did notice like this one came up for a vote in the Senate I believe in a committee. So yeah, there were 10, all 2 Democrats, 1 independent, and all Republicans voted in favor of it. And then yeah, VoteBot was helpful on going through that one too. And does anyone, here, let me pull up the results too. So this one was 38 voters supported, 76% supported. And 8 opposed, 16% opposed. So does anyone have any thoughts, questions about that one before we move on? All right. Then this one I thought was interesting. I know I've heard the governor talk a lot about property taxes. So this one would end state taxes on home purchase paperwork for first-time moderate income buyers when they buy a primary home. A first-time buyer is someone who has not owned a home in the past 3 years. Lowers closing costs, making it easier to afford a first house and build stability. It could increase home sales and help younger families, but would reduce state revenue. So that one, let's see. Yeah, I don't know that I'll go through the who sponsored each of these unless someone particularly wants to see, but I'll show the vote results. So this one, we had 31 voters supported it. So 65% support and 29% opposed. So that one was more evenly split. Any thoughts, questions on that one? All right, I'm sure, yeah, more will come up around property taxes. And then I have seen a couple about immunizations. So this one, school attendance immunizations, updates the shots students must have to attend school. It adds chickenpox, HIV, and pneumococcal vaccines to the existing list. The health department keeps authority to set rules and allows exemptions. Shots are available free at county health departments. Families may need to get kids up to date before enrollment, and schools will check records. The goal is to prevent outbreaks and keep classrooms safer. So that one I know was proposed by Lori Berman and Senator Smith. And then this one, let's see, we got 51 voted in support, 91% support, 5 opposed. Because I know I'll pull up the other one related to vaccines just as a comparison. If I can find it. I think it was this one. Yeah, so this one, healthcare, HB 917, hospitals and doctors may not discriminate based on vaccination status. For minors, providers must explain vaccine risk and benefits, get a parent signature, and offer slower schedules. Pharmacists may sell ivermectin without a prescription with immunity if acting in good faith. Parents may exempt kids from school health exams and shots on conscious grounds. The health department must post an online form. Vaccines aren't counted as treatment in emergencies. So yeah, that one was kind of on the other end as far as the vaccines. And that one was, let's see. Right now we got 8 support and 9% support, 79 voters opposed, 91% oppose. And then I'll pause there too if anyone has any questions about any of those or thoughts you want to share. Because I know one of the earlier bills we had carried, I'll just pull it up since I'm mentioning it, was sale and purchase of ivermectin. So there was another bill related to ivermectin more specifically too. And then let's see, gubernatorial transition. I didn't recognize a bill like this in the last 2 sessions. So this one sets clear rules for handing power to a new governor, requires a transition liaison in the governor's office and in each state agency. Agencies must prepare briefing books, give access to top staff, and provide temporary office space. The governor-elect can see agency records and use IT systems after signing a promise to protect private data. Illegal leaks are a crime. The state also provides email, collaboration tools, cybersecurity training, and tech health. So that one, yeah, I was curious to see like who sponsored that one. That one was Republican, District 85. And then the voters on this one, so we got 42 voters supported, 70 8% support, 9 oppose, 17% oppose. And then another thing I'll point out to the organizations, like I know some of you said you're involved with organizations. If your organization or you know an organization that does maybe want to take a stance on a bill, we can manually add those too. So even if it doesn't come up in our initial process, we can manually add those. Because I do want to show, I don't know if this one had one. Let's see. Yeah, so for each organization too, it'll pull up kind of an overview about the organization. Like just an overview of the policy, goals, funding, affiliates, legal structure, and then it'll highlight if there are any other bills they've taken a stance on, and then you can also link to the organization's page. Like maybe you want to look more into them or maybe get involved or something, that's where you can go to do that. And then this one, gay and transgender panic legal defenses. This bill bans gay and trans panic defenses in criminal cases. A nonviolent sexual advance or beliefs about someone's sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity cannot be used to excuse, justify, or reduce a sentence. Courts must judge actions not biased. The change protects LGBTQ people, supports equal justice, and helps prevent bias-based violence. And yeah, that one had that one, American Bar Association supporting. And then this is one that, like, I know Equality Florida does a lot in this area, so I might reach out to them and just ask if they had a stance that they'd want us to
What was the number?
This one was HB 317.
Because I have a list of theirs. It might not be complete yet, but
Yeah, if you'd like us to add you or other orgs you know of, definitely let us know.
yeah. So it's not on their short list that I'm looking at because I printed out the short list, but it might be on their long list. Give me 1 minute. You can keep on and I'll come back to that.
Okay, yeah, let me know. So this one had 74 voters support, 87% support, 10 opposed, 11%, 12% oppose. And yeah, does anyone else have any thoughts or comments, questions to share before we move on? And then, yeah, Jessica, I'll jump into the next one, but yeah, let me know if you have something to
Yeah,
add.
I'll let you know. I'll look at their list and see if they put a position on it yet. You know, a lot of us have been, you know, in the setup mode and are just starting to fill in the information. So I don't see anything on it yet.
All right. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for updates too. And I will mention too, so I don't forget, we do have a Slack channel. So that's kind of where supporters, anyone involved with Digital Democracy Project, anyone really can join. So that's where you can communicate with our team. And then we have different channels if you want to relay events, or we'll post our events. And especially the Relayed Florida Bills channel, that's where if you guys have bills that you're concerned about that you'd like us to post, that's where you can drop those in there for anyone in the Slack to see and for us to pass along to the team. So I'll include that link. I'll send a follow-up email with the recording and the link for that too. And then I will point out too, I know like paid parental leave, that one was sponsored by, Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith is my legislator. And yes, Kristen Arrington or co-sponsor. So I know, I'm sure you guys sound pretty informed. So we know Florida's a Republican trifecta. So that means a lot of the bills that do advance are ones sponsored by Republicans. So that's something that I do like, that we'll try to highlight some that may be popular among voters that don't get a lot of attention because they don't advance or come up for votes. So that's kind of how I would think of like this one. Paid parental leave provides 12 weeks of fully paid parental leave for Florida career service employees after birth or adoption. Workers keep earning benefits during leave and don't have to use vacation or sick time for those 12 weeks. The state can't fire them for pregnancy or adoption, deny the leave, or force them to take leave. Employees may take up to 6 months of unpaid parental or family medical leave and must be returned to the same or an equivalent job. So eases family care and helps retain public workers. That one, we don't have orgs. I would think maybe like unions might have an opinion on that one. And then that one, we had 48 voters support, 92% support, and 8% oppose. All right. And yeah, if you have thoughts, just let me know. Let me keep an eye on the chat too. Oh, okay. HB 73. Jessica, is that one you want us to
Yeah, that's the reduce the age for buying guns from 21 to 18. That's coming back. So, and I think it's already moving in 2 committees.
Yeah, I know I passed that one along to our team because I did see, I think it was like Florida PTA had included that in one of their emails. So yeah, I'll mention that one again.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
I just wanted to make a comment when you were saying earlier. So one of the things that we can have some kind of impact on early on in the process is getting these committee chairs and vice chairs to put the bills on the calendar. What they do is they never schedule them. They get filed and they go nowhere. So early on in this process right here, up front, we can contact them and put some pressure on them to at least add them to the calendar to be heard.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, especially like being able to know who's sponsored, co-sponsored, and then seeing like the committees, it'll tell you which one it gets sent to. So yeah, that's where you can definitely reach out ahead of time and ask them to put it up for a vote. And then yes, Teresa, I see you're interested in that one too. So I'll Charles, our legislative coordinator, he works as a legislative aide in Tallahassee. So he's the one who helps determine which bills we put in the app and when we post them. So I'll pass those along to him too. He's always got like really good insight since he's in all the meetings in the legislature. And then something I'll point out too, we did make a change to where, let me go ahead and I'll pull up our map overall. So you'll see here where maybe they went back and updated these. Okay, so on here, they're listed out individually by the name of the bills. In the app, if you've been in there previously, they were listed by the date that we had posted them. So we actually updated that to where now when you go in the app or the Votes app or the mobile app, you'll see all the bills individually listed instead of as a set for the date we posted them. So yeah, I think that might be better too, so we can easily see like what the bill is. You can vote on them one at a time. But that's why we like to have the search feature too, because we'll get a lot more bills that are in there when they're individually loaded. But we'll also be able to add them individually at different times. And then we have it set to where I think it's on Friday. You'll get an email with if there have been recent bills added, you'll get an email about those. So just wanted to point that out. If you've been in the app, they're now in there listed individually. And I think we left off here. So another bill, infrastructure and resiliency, expands public-private partnerships to fight flooding and sea level rise. The Department of Environmental Protection alone will choose and run coastal projects like seawalls, drainage upgrades, natural barriers, and buying at-risk properties. It speeds permits, allows revenue sharing to attract investors, and trains local workers, requires public input by lineal progress reports and a real-time dashboard to track progress and protect communities. And then that's another one where I think environmental orgs may have a stance. And I know like a lot of these got filed, so I think a lot of orgs are still kind of deciding their stances and haven't posted those yet. So those might be updating too. And then this one was kind of more evenly split. We had 52% support, 37% oppose. And yeah, I know what stood out to me was like the concern about public-private partnerships. So yeah, that's another one where Kiala will kind of give you some more, I guess, factors to consider about the bill too. And then where VoteBot, you can ask questions too about like why people may oppose. So yeah, just want to make sure you guys are aware of those resources because they are really helpful. And then, yeah, just interrupt me if I don't want to drown people out. So if you have thoughts, questions to share, just hop off mute, raise your hand, or drop them in the chat. And then eyewitness identification. This one sets statewide rules for police lineups to make eyewitness IDs more reliable. Officers must record the witness's first description, have evidence to include a suspect, and can't rely on only on facial recognition. Lineups must use similar non-suspects, be run by neutral methods, and are favored over show-ups or first-time in-court IDs. Witnesses get standard instructions and must state confidence. All procedures are audio-video recorded. Lawyers may observe. Aims to cut bad IDs, and wrongful convictions. And so that one looks like the voters were 63 support, 86%, and 7 voters oppose, 10% oppose. And then I definitely glad I remembered to point out too, anyone that gets into the app at any point during session can go back and vote on all the bills for the current session. So all these bills we're going over, all of them for the 2026 session, people will continue to get in and add their votes in. So these will continuously update. They actually update hourly. So you can go back at any time and see the current real-time results too. And then the healthcare one was the other one we had covered related to that included about vaccines. And then, so I'm trying to decide, there's a lot of bills left in here. Maybe I'll try to kind of skim over, and if people have questions or they want me to maybe cover more of it, I'll slow down for those. So I'll kind of highlight these more so. I think this is about where we left off with the last legislative session. So protection from surgical smoke requires hospitals, surgery centers to use smoke evacuation equipment during procedures that create surgical smoke. So yeah, that one's more so for like a health of healthcare workers. And we did have 2 orgs support that one. And that one was 59, 70, 80% of voters support, 7% oppose. And then, yeah, I'll just pick up the pace so we can kind of highlight more bills. But again, if you want me to read more or have questions, just let me know. And then affordable housing. This one supports the construction of affordable homes by providing incentives like zoning changes and tax breaks, aims to ensure more homes remain affordable longer, and offers tax benefits for first-time buyers. And then that one, yeah, so the Florida House Senate Democratic Caucus support, Greater Miami and the Beaches Hotel Association opposes. And then that one, we had 54 voters support and 78% of voters support and 17% oppose. And then initiating a property insurance interstate compact. This one aims to create an agreement between states to form a national risk pool for property insurance against natural disasters, would help reduce financial risk for residents by spreading costs across multiple states. And this one I know, yeah, was another one of the Florida House Senate Democratic Caucus priority bills. And then this one right now was 49 voters support, 82% support, 17% oppose. And then we'll keep jumping through these. And then government waste and misconduct. So this one aims to reduce state waste by having a group investigate misuse of funds across various programs. The report will highlight fraud and inefficiencies in spending, help recover funds, and will support the Working Floridians Tax Rebate Program, giving tax relief to low-income residents. Okay, that one's another one, the Florida House Senate Democratic Caucus support. And that one is 43 voters support, 65% and 30% oppose. And let's see. Public, recreation, civilian, contractors, and government employees. This bill aims to protect the privacy of civilian contractors and government employees with access to secret or top secret information, exempts their and their families' personal identification and location details from public records, reducing risk. So that one, let's see, we got 30, where are we at? 22 voter support, 38% support, 33 opposed, 57% oppose. And let's see, let me check the chat too. Okay. All right. And I see Jessica dropped in. Okay, the Florida Voting Rights Act. I know that's one we carried last year. But yeah, I'll pass that one along for us to post it again, because I know a lot of orgs were involved in that one. And then I see you posted 3. Oh, okay. It's on your list, but hasn't been flagged as a priority. Okay.
That's on equality list, their list.
Okay, gotcha.
I got the list.
All
Their
right.
list of bills. It's on there, but right now they haven't flagged that as a priority.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm sure it will be, but right now it's not.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. I'll keep an eye out for that one. And then we got Blue Ribbon Projects. This one aims to create development projects called Blue Ribbon Projects. Such projects would be at least 10,000 acres in area and would be required to set aside 60% of the land for conservation. I know this one was a kind of complex one, so I'll read the one. Local governments will be barred from having any planning or zoning authority on the remaining 40%, including per density, which could reach 12 units per acre. And this one, we did have 2 orgs that opposed, 1,000 Friends of Florida, Defending Rural Florida. And then this one, the voters are 17 support, 26%, 46, and 71% oppose.
Right, that's what I thought. Does it go into detail about the ones who oppose, why they oppose?
It doesn't, and I'm glad you brought that up too. That's kind of what I like to highlight about the Kialo, to where if you're someone who wants to expand on your vote, like why you support, why you oppose, that's where you can kind of give more subjective responses to. Because yeah, I do see there were other cons dropped in here too, so that can give you like more info about those. And then I know too,
that one.
Yeah, I know like another thing you can do is link through like the website of the orgs that have taken a stance, and then yeah, I know like they might post, it says 2026 legislative session, so I'm not gonna dig through their website.
Right.
Yeah, get more info, because we do.
Great. This is great, Sadie. Y'all doing a great job with this.
Oh, thanks. Great. Yeah, we because of feedback we had gotten about people feeling like they didn't understand the bills well enough. That's kind of where these new features came from, to kind of make it more clear about what a yes vote, no vote means, and about the organizations. So like organizations that kind of specialize in that area, we can relay their responses and kind of link to their I guess expertise, you can say. And then yeah, I definitely don't want to undersell VoteBot. He's super helpful for yeah, if there's particular questions you have, definitely take advantage of that option.
I will.
Yeah, I have been increasingly pleasantly surprised. All right, and then another bill, we have drug prices and coverage. This bill would tie prescription drug prices to some foreign markets, though not single-payer nations. Drug companies would be compelled to disclose sensitive pricing data. It adopts more limited pricing and coverage rules. The bill freezes drug formularies and requires more reporting from insurance companies and state agencies. And that one was, we had 72% support and 21% oppose. And then we're running short on time, so let me maybe try to highlight some specific ones. So this one I'll highlight because I know you guys are probably aware Florida's been talking about doing mid-decade redistricting, but they're doing it supposedly as a special session in April. So this bill, for example, would propose changing how the legislative districts are drawn in the state by creating 3 independent commissions for state, Senate, House, and congressional districts, aiming to increase the number of districts and ensuring fair representation. Public hearings are required to gather citizen input, promoting transparency and accountability in the redistricting process. So that's kind of like an example of, I guess, like a nonpartisan redistricting proposal. So that one, 61% support, 31% oppose. And then we have about 5 minutes left. So I think I'm just gonna read through these names, and if anyone wants me to jump in about any of them, I'll click on them, and then I can provide like a super brief summary. So volunteering at polling locations, that one was for like high school students to be able to work as a poll worker or volunteer as a poll worker. And then protection of historic monuments and memorials, that one's come up before about like banning the removal of like Confederate statues. Trust funds, tariffs result in untimely money problems. That one, let me refresh my memory. Yeah, address economic impacts from tariffs on construction materials, kind of creating like a fund to help with that, to homeowners facing higher repair costs. And drug paraphernalia one, that one was about like drug tests, I guess, are considered paraphernalia right now, and they want to change that. Patriotic displays in classrooms, that was like requiring, that was surprising to me, requiring to display George Washington and Abraham Lincoln in certain classrooms. I'm kind of surprised sometimes what people come up with. It's interesting. Public records, municipal clerks, that was about protecting the information of judges. Recovery of damages for medical negligence resulting in death. That one was about like how, compensation for, medical, I guess, mistakes, malpractice claims. And civil liability for the wrongful death of an unborn child. I know that one's one that's come up again that I've heard a lot of orgs take stances on. I'll pull that one up because I know there's quite a few on that one. Yeah, some support and some oppose. And that one's about like, especially around like IVF and kind of related to like the abortion ban. So I'll try to keep it brief though. And suits against the government. We had one, sexual offenders, sexual predators, Sharia and other foreign law. Yeah, Charlie Kirk Day of Remembrance.
Oh, my Lord, my Lord, my Lord.
Candidate qualification. And I know the League of Women Voters does a lot with the national popular vote. So there was a bill for Florida to kind of do their electoral college that way. Treatment of inmates. I know, like, I hear a lot about jails not having proper air conditioning. I think that was part of that one. Employee protections, use of substances affecting cognitive function, removal, storage, and cleanup of electric vehicles, recognizing Judea and Samaria, sale and purchase of ivermectin, and designation of the state birds. So we want to, they're proposing for the flamingo to be the state bird. That one's come up again previously, so we'll see if it passes. So we got about 2 minutes left. Does anyone have any, they want me to highlight any bills or any questions, anything they want to relay before we get to 8 o'clock? If not, I know, let me see. I wanted to refresh my memory, the employee protections. That one was preventing from taking negative actions against employees who report violations or unethical behavior to the Commission of Ethics. So preventing retaliation. And just for another example, that one was, 95% support. That one was more popular. So I think I'll leave it at that. So we'll have another one of these on the 28th at the same time. And I'll try to do these about every other week throughout session because we'll probably post bills, if not every week, every other week. And then, yeah, if you guys want to relay bills to us, we'll try to get those in there too. And then, yeah, if you want to join again, you can come on and share your thoughts if you have any you'd like to share or if you have questions. And then we definitely appreciate if you want to invite others. We'd like to make them familiar with the bills going on and show them how they can add in, have their say on the bills too. And then I'll send all this info in a follow-up. But yeah, again, want to encourage you to get into votes and start adding your votes in too. So legislators, everyone can see what the voters want, and that's how we can give more power, more of a voice to the voters. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Does anyone have any questions or last minute thoughts to share before we wrap up? All right, if not, then let me stop sharing my screen. Thank you all for joining and yeah, staying informed and all your activism. So I'll send the link to the Slack too. If you want to stay more involved with us there, you can do that through Slack. It's like a communication kind of networking channel too. So yeah, if you like, you can join us again on the 28th. If not, then thank you for attending and let me know if you have any questions after the fact too.
Thank you very
Good
much.
job,
Yeah,
Sadie. Very good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, Eric.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.